Hello Year 6 and welcome to today's reading lesson. Now, we are reading the next two chapters of the book, and you're going to be thinking about how a character is feeling during events in that book, and then you're going to be writing in role as them. That character is Jack, so for today you are going to become Jack. Big couple of chapters for us to get through, okay? And then I'll explain the task and everything. So, let's get into the screen. Okay, so we are going to be looking at two chapters today. Okay, and the thing that we're going to be looking at is inferring how a character is feeling, okay? How a character is thinking. And you're going to be writing in role as Jack at 3 different points in the story. I can't tell you what those 3 points are now because I don't want to give away what actually happens in the chapter. But over the 3 points, you are going to write like 3 different bits about how Jack is feeling inside his head, okay? Not to share with other people, but just how he's feeling. And the best thing for me to do is to get into the text. So we've just got to the point where Oggy, it's Halloween, he's going to school. He was going to be going as Jango Fett, but he's changed and he's now going as the Bleeding Scream. Okay, and he's excited because it's Halloween, it's his favourite thing. He gets to cover his face and just be like everyone else. Here we go, the Bleeding Scream. Walking through the halls that morning on my way to the lockers was, I have to say, absolutely awesome. Everything was different now. I was different. Where I usually walked with my head down, trying to avoid being seen, today I walked with my head up, looking around. I wanted to be seen. One kid wearing the same exact costume as mine, long white skull face oozing fake red blood, high-fived me as we passed each other on the stairs. I have no idea who he was, and he had no idea who I was. And I wondered for a second if he would have ever done the same thing, he would have known it was me under the mask. I was starting to think that this was going to go down as one of the most awesome days in the history of my life. But then I got to homeroom. The first costume I saw as I walked inside the door was Darth Sidious. It had one of the rubber masks that are so realistic, with a big black hood over the head and a long black robe. I'll put a picture of that just somewhere on this page of what like Darth Sidious looks like. Carrying on. I knew right away it was Julian, of course. He must have changed his costume at the last minute because he thought I was coming as Jango Fett. He was talking to 2 mummies, who must have been Miles and Henry, and they were all kind of looking at the door like they were waiting for someone to come through it. I knew it wasn't a Bleeding Scream they were looking for. It was a Boba Fett. They were looking for Augie. I was going to go and sit at my usual desk, but for some reason, I don't know why, I found myself walking over to a desk near them, and I could hear them talking. One of the mummies was saying, "It really does look like him." "Like this part especially," answered Julian's voice. He put his fingers on the cheeks and the eyes of his Darth Sidious mask. "Actually," said the mummy, "what he really looks like is one of those shrunken heads. Have you ever seen those? He looks exactly like that." "I think he looks more like an orc." "Oh yeah." "If I look like that," said the Julian voice, kind of laughing, "I swear to God, I'd put a hood over my face every day." "I've thought about this a lot," said the second mummy, sounding serious. "And I really think, if I look like him, seriously, I think I'd kill myself." "You would not," answered Darth Sidious. "Yeah, for real," insisted the same mummy. "I can't imagine looking in the mirror every day and seeing myself like that. It would be too awful, and getting stared at all the time." "Then why'd you hang out with him so much?" asked Darth Sidious. "I don't know," answered the mummy. Tushman asked me to hang out with him at the beginning of the year, and he must have told all the teachers to put us next to each other in all our classes or something. The mummy shrugged. I knew the shrug, of course. I knew the voice. I knew I wanted to run out of the class right there and then. But I stood where I was and listened to Jack Will finish what he was saying. "I mean, the thing is, he always follows me around. What am I supposed to do?" "Just ditch him," said Julian. "I don't know what," Jack answered, because I walked out of the class without anyone knowing I'd even been there. My face felt like it was on fire while I walked back down the stairs. I was sweating under my costume, and I started crying. I couldn't keep it from happening. The tears were so thick in my eyes I could barely see, but I couldn't wipe them through the mask as I walked. I was looking for a tiny spot to disappear into. I wanted a hole I could fall inside of, a little black hole that would eat me up. That is the end of the chapter. So, it was Jack saying all of that stuff about, if I looked like him, I'd kill myself. He just follows me around. Tushman asked me to be together with him. And obviously Oggie's heard this and is absolutely devastated. So, your task. Now, we are going to read another chapter, so you can either choose to pause now and do the task, or you can listen to the other chapter and then do the task at the end. You don't need the second chapter to do the task, it's up to you. If you're doing the task now, what you are going to be doing is you're going to be writing a short little paragraph, writing in role as Jack, okay? About three different points. So the first one, before school. Okay, so it's Halloween. You're going to just write a little thing about how he's feeling at that point. I imagine he's quite excited for the day. He gets to wear a costume. He's probably like looking forward to seeing people, all of that kind of stuff. Just a short little, almost like a diary entry, but not a diary entry. Then, as he's talking to Julian and the chapter that we've read at, and he's saying those horrible things, that's obviously what he's saying. We know what he said, but it's the same thing going through his mind. If you think something different is going on in his mind, I want you to write down that. If you think that actually he means what he's saying, I want you to write down what he's thinking as he says that. Okay, and then finally, at the end of the school day, I want you to imagine that you're Jack. He's gone home. He knows he said those things. How does he feel about that? Is he quite happy with what he said? Is it what he really thinks? Is he regretting what he said? It's up to you. Okay? So 3 short paragraphs. 1, explaining what Jack's thinking before he goes into school that day. Number 2, what he's actually thinking as he's saying those things to Julian. And then number 3, what he's thinking at the end of the day about what he said. Right. You can pause and write that now if you want, or you can read the next chapter and then do that at the end. The next chapter is called Names. Rat Boy, Freak, Monster, Freddy Krueger, E.T., Gross Out, Lizard Face, Mutant. I know the names they call me. I've been in enough playgrounds to know kids can be mean. I know. I ended up in the second floor bathroom. No one was there because first period had started and everyone was in class. I locked the door to my stall and took off my mask and just cried for I don't know how long. Then I went to the nurse's office and told her I had a stomachache, which was true because I felt like I'd been kicked in the gut. Nurse Molly called Mum and had me lie down on the sofa next to her desk. 15 minutes later, Mum was at the school. She was at the door, sorry. "Sweetness," she said, coming over to hug me. "Hi," I mumbled. I didn't want her to ask anything until afterwards. "You have a stomachache?" she asked, automatically putting her hand on my forehead to check if I had a temperature. "He said he feels like throwing up," said Nurse Molly, looking at me with very nice eyes. "And I have a headache," I whispered. "I wonder if it's something you ate," said Mum, looking worried. "There's a stomach bug going around," said Nurse Molly. "Oh," said Mum, her eyebrows going up as she shook her head. She helped me to my feet. "Should I call a taxi or are you okay walking home?" "I can walk." "What a brave kid," said Nurse Molly, patting me on the back as she walked us towards the door. "If he starts throwing up or runs a temperature, you should call the doctor." "Absolutely," said Mum, shaking Nurse Molly's hand. "Thank you so much for taking care of him." "My pleasure," answered Nurse Molly, putting her hand under my chin and tilting my face up. "You take care of yourself, okay?" I nodded and mumbled, "Thank you." Mum and I hug-walked the whole way home. I didn't tell her anything about what had happened. And later, when she asked me if I felt well enough to go trick-or-treating after school, I said no. This worried her, since she knew how much I usually love trick-or-treating. I heard her say to Dad on the phone, "He doesn't even have the energy to go trick-or-treating. No fever at all. Well, I will if he doesn't feel better by tomorrow." "I know, poor thing. Imagine he's missing Halloween." I got out of going to school the next day too, which was Friday. So I had the whole weekend to think about everything. I was pretty sure I would never go back to school again. And that, Year 6, is the end of the chapter, and actually the end of the section of this book. Something different will be happening on Monday. But if you've already done the task, that is the end of the lesson. Well done. If you've not done the task, quick reminder. So you're writing in role as Jack. Before school on the day of Halloween, what's he thinking? What is he looking forward to about the day? How's he getting on? Then what's going on in Jack's mind? So you're writing as Jack, so you might say something, I can't believe I've got myself in this situation. And then you might talk about why he's feeling. Or you might say something like, it was so nice to be able to speak to Julian without Oggy there. It's up to you. You can choose. And then the third thing, small, like another paragraph, how is he feeling after the school day? Okay. Was he quite happy about the conversation he had with Julian? Is he massively regretting it? You can have a little think about those things, okay? And that Year 6 is the end of today's reading lesson. I love this book. I love this book. This is a really big part of the book, and there's a big change in it from Monday, but we'll get into that on Monday. Okay, Year 6, goodbye.